Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday, the 25th of June. Another week's on the halfway mark. Right, okay, let's firstly just catch up on what news events are coming out today, which could affect the markets. Yesterday we did see Powell speak, and it did create quite a few questions in the markets there, and maybe things are settling down now. Trump has sworn at everyone. Right, Thursday there, Wednesday. Yesterday he's speaking there. Today he's speaking again. He's testifying again today at 3 p.m. So looking at right days here. He had spoken yesterday. Australian inflation 2.1 versus 2.3. It takes any pressure off of interest rates there. Not that I think they'll be cutting them in a hurry at this stage. They're quite low, the Australian, relative to some of the other majors. About midway, 3.85. Okay, new home sales, I don't expect anything from that. So really it's down to the Fed chair, Powell, to move things this afternoon. So what do we think of these markets? Let's look at the euro first. Now, at a strange old point here, there'll be some divergence, I'm sure. Not on the MACD, there isn't on the dailies, but is there? Well, it doesn't really look like it, but it certainly would be on my RSI setting. A bit of divergence where we're sitting. However, that wouldn't trigger until we break the lows between the two highs here, so it still, for me, looks like it's got potential upside. It's consolidating around the highs here as well, and when you look at it on the hourlies here, it's probably a little bit more ugly because it's a bit more of a pennant where we've got the lower highs and the higher lows sort of coming through. It's a little bit less reliable. I sort of like these markets to the upside, and I think the pound might be fractionally better, but they got potential to give us a continuation. It's today I was moaning yesterday because they had moved so far, but it's a little bit sort of softer here. I think the pound might give us a better option. So let's roll over to the pound and look at the bigger picture first, if it will bear with me. There we go. So the pound yesterday did push on. It's again just making new near-term highs here at this stage. It's still quite favoured. Consolidation by the institutional money. It's still favoured, I should say. It's ticking along okay. Yesterday I got the long, we were back above the S1 there, and eventually got into the long on that. Time was that then? Yeah, 9 o'clock bar. But up to R2 today, well, we're in a bit of no man's land at the moment. There's the potential if this starts moving. I'd ideally like to see the daily pivot hit first on this. So if it comes down to the daily pivot, I'm waiting to see what occurs from there. It could be simply a break of the, if this sticks. Now I know this isn't finished, this bar at the moment, so bear with me, but if it does stick and we push on through the break of that level to the upside, maybe the potential there. Okay, it's not the prettiest, but it is in a bit of a continuation pattern. The US dollar yen, this was looking half decent yesterday, and for the close of yesterday, for potentially more downside. And it could still get it. Just looking at what's happening here on the lower time frames, just really to see how it reacts, and it completes its reaction to the pivot here. It's run just through the daily pivot a little bit. It has also put a higher low in doing so, but it could be just like a little ABC correction. However, it might, if it holds on above the daily pivot, run up to the 50. So I'd be a bit patient waiting to see if this kicks back again. It's a bit more difficult with a pound testifying later. However, Australian dollar, I'm just going to leave that. It's just not worth looking at. The US dollar CAD. Now, this didn't really set up for me yesterday in the end. I was looking at this, liking the pivot swing sort of price action that was there, and it did run fractionally lower at one stage. It got off quite nicely and started reacting, but 10 o'clock and then it went back up again. I don't like trading it early. This is the wrong time. I'd wait until the afternoon. Well, the afternoon just pushed up, so it's a bit spoilt at the moment, but still got some potential to roll back. We'll see what it does today. I was liking the idea of the Canadian dollar sliding over completely, but, well, as I say, a little bit stuck where it is at the moment. Maybe the signs of that would be the break of the daily pivot there. We'll see. Okay, New Zealand dollar, pretty much like the Aussie dollar in terms of, I'm just, there we go, same picture really, just too messy. They're choppy and ugly. US dollar Swissy, flat today, but he says. So from a daily perspective, we're back down to these lows here. Last time we saw them, we saw murmurs of intervention, etc. We're back to that sort of that area. He goes right the way out to the weeklies here. Well, there you go. That was the last time. It is a long time since we've been any lower. In fact, you can see I've got the green line there. That was the last, so it's a long time ago. It was as low as where it is at the moment, and I can assure you the Swiss National Bank won't be liking this. But for now, the sentiment is bearish on the Swissy, so we would expect to see the dollar making ground against it. However, well, it's not against the. It's not making a ground against it at the moment for sure. There is the scope that we could still see, and I'm sort of more interested if it can get back above the daily 50 at some point, but for now, consolidating around the lows here, got the potential to pip even further down, squeeze those short positions. Both retail customer clients and the bigger money, they're both short on the Swissy, which would, as I say, we'd expect that to be pushing up against some of its other peers. The Swissy, well, even that, well, they're losing a little bit of ground. Let's just look at the likes of the pound Swissy, but it's still, yeah, the Swissy still pretty strong all the way through here. Euro Swissy, see, still strongish in terms of its overall picture, and looks like it's got more potential downside. So the Swissy certainly holding its own there, more than, as I say, the Swiss National Bank would be liking. Euro yen, not really doing a great deal this morning. Overall picture's been in this lovely trend to the upside there. It's got scope here actually. I'm looking at it on the 4-hourly this week. At the moment it's sort of turning round, looking like, well, perhaps if it gets back above its 50 here, we've got a possible move back towards the prior highs over the next, either today, tomorrow. Looking, as I say, looking reasonably positive at the moment. We'll see what it does. I want it to be above that 50 MA for sure. Otherwise, it's the first touch of it. It could react off of it further, and in fact, we could actually see a move go the opposite way down towards the S1 if we're not careful. I say if we're not careful. There's the other potential, the other idea there. Right. Okay. So I say the only thing of the major currencies, the pound dollar, perhaps. We just got to be patient. As I said, I'd ideally like to see that bouncing off its pivot. The euro, nice four hourly trend on the euro. Let's just have a look. Okay. All I'm looking at is double top and a possible rollover on the 4 hourlies there. From 12th of May. Okay. Squeeze a little bit more in there. Okay. Best look at it on a daily then. Okay, so this move here, yes, it's moved up quite nicely from there. It's I think with the pound and the euro here, it's really, I mean, it looks better on a daily picture for sure, that trend, and it's still there. It's really what they're gonna do around these highs here at the moment. I just prefer the pound slightly better. It's a little bit ugly as I'm looking on this hourlies here at the moment. Actually, that's the euro. I was looking for the pound. It's just, see the pound here. Just in the short term, the pound is just holding up that little bit stronger. So of the two, and it went better yesterday as well. Anyway, there we go. Right. So looking at usual suspects then, gold up a little this morning, up 0.25%, but yesterday still riding its way southbound. I'm starting to look at this and question whether I should be looking on the short side. Now there is the potential today. We'll see what happens here. It's quite nice in terms of the bear flag that's sitting here. The potential on the breakdown. Now I've got 33.25 around that sort of area. If it breaks that level, it could be on on the short side. It's just pipping up the other way as the 8 o'clock bar. We'll just see, wait and see. Not overly so keen on it on the long side. Just to me, just not looking the best of at the moment. It's just flattened out over the last couple of months. Right. Oil up 0.5% today. Oil, but yesterday, well, continued its route. Overall picture, would like to see this afternoon if it was to be breaking back below the 200 there, but it's not far out of the previous range that we were sitting in for some time. This pivot here, this what am I on? Quarterly pivot that's not got a lot time left on it. It was providing the resistance previously. Maybe it'll provide some support, we'll see, but it is looking quite a bit iffier. But again, for me, that's a trade for the afternoon. I'll be reviewing on that. Okay, S&Ps, well, pushing on further. Yesterday it just continued on. I think we could see all new time highs with this again, the way things are moving. It's just consolidating around its highs here. The potential is probably good for later on towards the upside. To say, we're not that far away from the, if I just come out to the weeklies here, the all-time highs. Within a smidgen of it. Whenever markets are like this, they often run pretty close to it and occasionally just pop and drop, but we'll see. It's certainly looking positive at the moment. The FTSE didn't like FTSE yesterday. It's trying to get back, arguably in the bigger scheme of things here. It's just a minor retrace that we're seeing effectively. A minor retrace that we've seen all the structural lower highs, lower lows, and looks quite ugly. it's not a market for me on the long side at the moment. It's short side. If it starts breaking the 200, maybe it's a move down to its weekly S1 there at some stage. Don't really like it too much, to be fair, either way. I'm just looking at the the hourly here. Just if you're just looking for the short-term trade, maybe if it breaks back above the pivot there, it could be interesting at the moment. At the moment, if it was to sell back, it could be a reasonable picture down to its S1 and maybe even the S2. DAX. What's happening with the DAX this morning then? DAX is giving back what it was earning overnight here. Just run into its monthly underside of the pivot there, just hanging around that area. Still prefer this. If it can break back above the 4-hourly 200, would be more interested on the long side. It's switched back here structurally, got higher lows coming through. It's a bit messy on the hourlies. It's a keep away for me at the moment. It's neither up nor down. It's got this horrible bit of pattern going on. Okay, not a great deal there for us today, but as I say, I still think we'll see how it goes. But the pound is really what I'm looking at this stage. We'll see if it gets back to that pivot, but a bit of patience needed on that one. Right, okay, that's it for me today. I'll catch you tomorrow. Take care. Bye for now.